And now I'm on live. And so, and we're doing the organizational meeting. We're going to cover all the topics. We don't have an awful lot to go over the agenda tonight. There will not be a board meeting next Tuesday. So, minutes review from the board minutes on 12/12. Does anybody have any changes, updates, questions? Yes, no? Good. All right. As we always say, the clerk's minutes, and we don't have to approve them. So, all right. So, public comment. Let's start. Anybody got any public comment for tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. There's still time.
There's time at the end.
There's still time. All right. So we'll start on the 2024 organizational items. And this is a long list of things. Every year, the beginning of the town's year, we have to re-up all the stuff that we do for the year.
Now, do we just want to blanket approve it all? I mean, there's no changes. I can note where the changes are in all the resolutions.
We
Or
should.
you want to go through every resolution?
I want to go through every one.
I was afraid of that.
Yeah, and then and so we all know what's going on, and we all remember what's what.
Okay, so
And then if there's no changes, we can make a motion to accept the whole thing with changes, or we can pull out certain ones and do them if there's controversy at the end. How about that?
sounds good.
Yeah.
The procurement policy, Resolution 1 of 2024, whereas Section 104B of the General Municipal Law requires that the governing body of every municipality adopt a procurement policy for all goods and services which are not required by law to be publicly bid. And whereas comments have been solicited from all officers and department heads in the town of Inlet who are involved in the procurement process, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Inlet does hereby adopt the following guidelines which are intended to apply to all goods and services which are not required by law to be competitively bid. Each purchase made by the town of Inlet or the departments thereof must be initially reviewed to determine whether it's a purchase contract or a public works contract. And in good faith effort made to determine whether or not the proposed purchase is subject to competitive bidding pursuant to Section 102 of the General Municipal Law. A determination that a purchase is not subject to competitive bidding shall be documented in writing by the individual or board responsible for making the purchase. Such documentation may include written quotes, written notes relating to verbal quotes, written notes relating to verbal quotes solicited, a memo from the purchaser indicating how the decision was arrived at, a copy of the contract indicating the source which makes the item or service exempt, a memo from the purchaser detailing the circumstances which led to the emergency purchase, or other appropriate written documentation. Guideline 2, all goods and services not subject to the competitive bidding will be secured by uses of written requests for proposals, written quotations, verbal quotations, or any other method which assures the quality goods will be purchased at the lowest reasonable price and that favoritism will be avoided, except purchases or contracts pursuant to subdivision 6 of the policy. Guideline 3, the following methods will be used when required by the policy. Purchase contracts, estimated amount of contracts between $250 and $2,999, verbal quotations, or 2 written fax quotations. $3,000 to $9,999, we need 3 written or fax quotations or responses to be written requests for proposals. Public works contracts, estimated amount of contracts $500 to $999, 2 verbal, 2 or quote, it's kind of weird how it reads it. Method 2 verbal or written fax quotations. $1,000 to $6,999, we need 2 written fax quotations. And $7,000 to $19,999, we need 3 written or fax quotations for proposals. A good faith effort shall be made to obtain more than one quotation or proposal. If the purchaser is unable to obtain more than one proposal or quotation, the purchaser will document the attempt made at obtaining these proposals or quotations. In no event shall the failure to obtain quotations or proposals be a bar to the procurement. Guideline 5, written documentation is required, and a written explanation is required whenever a contract is awarded to other than the offer with the lowest price. This documentation will include an explanation of how the purchase will achieve savings or how the offer was not reasonable. No, responsible. A determination that the offer is not responsible shall be made by the purchaser and may not be challenged under any circumstances. Guideline 6, except when directed by the town board, no solicitation of written proposals or quotations shall be required under the following circumstances. A, acquisition of professional services. B, emergencies. C, sole source situations. D, goods purchased from agencies for the blind or severely handicapped. E, goods purchased for correctional facilities. F, goods purchased from another governmental agency. G, goods purchased at auction. H, goods purchased for less than $250. I, public works contracts for less than, and I believe that's 2,000 now, not 500. Goods purchased at below published state or county bid prices. Guideline 7, this policy should go into effect immediately and will be reviewed annually. Guideline 8, the policy is intended to be a guideline for the town of Inlet personnel involved in purchase of goods and services, and no unintentional violation of this policy shall be deemed to create a claim or cause of action against the town of Inlet. And somebody has to move that and second it so we can adopt it. The procurement policy.
Okay, you want that separate? So,
Okay.
all right.
That's that. Oof. Okay, organizational meeting. Resolve, the superintendent of highway is authorized to purchase equipment during 2024 without prior approval of the town board in the amount not to exceed $2,000 per highway law, section 142, subdivision 1A. A yearly agreement between the highway superintendent and the supervisor will also be signed giving approval. All other departments are to seek board approval for the equipment purchases exceeding $500. Resolve, the salaries of all elective and appointed officers and employees as to the amounts respectively specified in the notice of public hearing upon the preliminary budget of 2024 are fixed, and that said salaries are paid monthly and biweekly. Resolve, the town officers and employees shall be compensated for the use of their vehicles and the performance of their duties as defined in Public Sector HR Employee Handbook, Section 507, at a rate of 67 cents per mile based on the IRS rate as of 2024. Resolved, Amy Townsend is appointed Deputy Town Clerk and Deputy Tax Collector for 2024. Resolved that Yvonne Lutz is appointed Registrar of Vital Statistics and Amy Townsend is Deputy Registrar. Resolved, dues are paid to the Association of Town, Adirondack Association of Towns and Villages, Hamilton County Magistrates Association, New York State Magistrate Court Clerk Association, Chief of Police Association, New York State Town Clerks Association, Tri-County Clerks Association, Highway Superintendents Associations, Assessors Associations, New York State Codes Association, New York State Planning Federation, Adirondack North Superintendents Association, and the New York Rural Water Association. Resolved, the department heads will present bills to the supervisor's bookkeeper prior to 1 p.m. on the first Thursday before the second Tuesday of each month. The bills will be available for inspection before the second Tuesday of each month. Resolved, the official banks for the town of Inlet are Community Bank and Adirondack Bank. The banks are designated for deposits and transactions of all monies for the town of Inlet offices. Town Law 64, Subdivision 1, Supervisor John Fry and Town Clerk Yvonne Lutz are designated signers for these accounts. Resolved, the supervisor is authorized to invest surplus money in certificates of deposit, General Municipal Law, Section 11. Resolved, the town delegates to the Association of Towns meeting in February of 2024 will be. Anybody going?
Anybody going to Association of Towns meeting in February? I am not here.
At the end of February, isn't it?
Yeah, I have
Yeah,
to
it's,
check
well,
it,
it's
yeah.
President's Week usually. So it's like the third week. Yeah, yeah.
Do you want me to put to be determined?
I guess.
Maybe they got snow.
He's not going anywhere, and he's probably not going anywhere, so I would.
I'm gonna
put
find
to be
snow this
determined.
year, so.
Yeah. Alaska?
Greenland.
Resolved, the town board establishes the office of Deputy of Highway, Town Law 32, Subdivision 1, as appointed by the Superintendent of Highways. The appointment for 2024 is, I'm assuming, Donald Townsend. Resolved, the town board approves a bookkeeper to the Superintendent of Highways as appointed by him. The appointed for 2024 is Sean Hanson. Resolved, all elected and appointed officials are authorized to attend any mandated schools or seminars pertinent to their job as job responsibilities allow. All actual and necessary expenses will be a proper town charge provided prior board approval has been given. General Municipal Law, Section 77B. Resolved, the town board authorizes the payment in advance of audited claims for National Grid, Frontier, propane contract, Spectrum, fuel and gas contracts, United States Postal Service, bond anticipation notes, New York State retirement payments, and Blue Cross Blue Shield. Resolved, the town board is required to review and adopt the procurement policy annually and has done so for the calendar year of 2024. Well, kind of, we will.
We'll do that first, and then you can do that, and then it'll be right.
Okay. Resolve, the supervisor appoints a town historian to collect and preserve material related to the town and work with the state and county historian in performing the historical work recommended by the town. And I haven't checked with Charles but I'm assuming he would do it again for the calendar year of 2024.
Okay,
Has anybody heard otherwise?
I haven't heard otherwise.
Okay. Resolve that Tony Sagi shall provide housing and maintenance for all cats and dogs collected by the town of Inlet. The agreement is in the sum of $1,000 for the period of 12 months from January to December. The addition I need to add is Gina Greco will be our dog control officer and also at a fee of $1,000 for the period of 12 months from January to December. So resolve, the town board shall meet on the second Tuesday of every month in the town board meeting room at 7:30 p.m. with bill review starting at 6:30-ish p.m. Are we discussing changing that? I just had question marks because we talked.
Well, what happened was when COVID started and we were doing things different, we started reviewing the bills down in your office and doing the abstracts and everything. I know that there's some interest in going back to what we were doing before.
I like that idea.
Yeah, and so I think we should leave it in there the way that is,
Okay.
and that we should try to get back to reviewing the bills. I think, just like tonight where we had this question, and you usually get the abstract out, it usually comes out on Tuesday. So we don't have a lot of time to look at it before, but if we were able to come in even at 6:45, it gives you a little bit of time so that we have questions, we can look at stuff. So I'd like to leave that the way it is.
Well, but we also discussed changing the town board meeting night.
I don't think we ever discussed that. I think there was discussion about it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna
Yep.
keep it that way until,
Yes.
okay. Resolve, the town board has reviewed and adopts the emergency management plan for 2024. Resolve, the supervisor is authorized to sign a contract with public sector HR consultants for 2024 in an amount of $2,400 to be paid quarterly. Resolve, the supervisor will distribute the organizational resolutions to the department heads at the next meeting, February 13th, 2024. Appointments. John Fry is appointed budget officer for 2024, Town Law, Section 102. Herbert Schmidt is appointed deputy supervisor to preside over town duties in the supervisor's absence for 2024. I have all the committee and chairpersons. I didn't make any changes. I don't know if anybody wanted to change, but parks, buildings, and ski trails are Councilman Townsend and Schmidt. Highway Transfer Station Groomer is Councilman Brownsell and Levy. Information Office, Councilman Levy and Townsend. Assessors, Codes, and Police is Councilman Schmidt and Brownsell, and the sewer plant is Supervisor Fry and Councilman Schmidt. So,
Pretty good with that?
that.
Okay.
Okay, leave it like it is.
Okay, so what are we gonna do? And then on a motion, oh, so this is where we have to pass the code of ethics also.
Okay,
Procurement policy, code of ethics, emergency plan. We've got to pass all those resolutions.
so you want to pass those first and then pass the major thing? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we do them all
Yeah.
separately,
Okay.
kind of.
All right, that's fine.
So all the above resolutions are one, and then with code of ethics is another, and then procurement policy is another. And then I have to tell you my annual report for town clerk, and that's another. And annual report from the town clerk, were total receipts, $188,006. $125,980.50 was paid to the supervisor. $61,855 was paid to sewer. $13 was paid for ags and markets. And marriage licenses were paid to the state for $157.50.
Okay,
So we just kind of take each one and
yes,
each.
yes, and, yeah,
There's one thing that I was told to bring up again in the organizational meeting that we should probably add to our organizational resolutions, are discussing the holiday schedule for the employees again. I do have a resolution from the county that passes 13 holidays for all county employees. Just saying,
and we have,
eight.
yeah, we're not going from 8 to 13. It's not happening.
Well, that's what the
And the
county
school
did.
just had 2 more added to their
The
calendar.
problem is you guys got so far behind, now you gotta get caught up.
We give them every day off.
Yeah,
So, the days off are New Year's Day, Martin Luther King, President's Day, Good Friday, Memorial Day, Juneteenth, Independence Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, and Christmas. I mean, those are days that are pretty regular to take off.
except when you have to run things and plow roads and do stuff.
I get it.
People can't, until they take holidays on other days when they can
Right,
do them.
right. But
Right.
nobody doesn't come in. If they have a holiday, they don't just not come in because it's a holiday. They still, Brittany's here on her
No.
holidays. I don't.
Yes, see.
Because I don't have to. The town will still run without me. Yep. Just saying. Okay. But I think we should make it as part of our organizational resolutions. And the reason I say that is because the employee handbook, a lot of changes need to be added to it. And so we can make this part of it and then add that to the employee handbook. The employee handbook hasn't been updated since 2018.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's changes that need to be made.
All right.
But putting the calendar of days off in the annual.
Or just,
motions
I need
don't
a
to be done.
Okay, well, I need a resolution to change the employee handbook, Bill.
You need a resolution, so what's the,
Update, you're saying.
what is the cost and what is the, who's gonna do it, what's the costs? What's the preliminary on,
We already
Probably
paid,
public
we already
sector
paid
does
public
it.
sector, yeah.
I think that's.
with that
something
2,400, they're gonna
I
update it?
think they
They're
do.
supposed to
There's so
every
many
year.
updates, they give you so many updates, so many things. And then-
Okay, so then we don't need a resolution, it's already in the contract of our 2,400.
But we need a resolution, what things we want to change in our
Yes,
employee handbook.
yeah, but there may be more than this,
Absolutely.
so.
I think there probably is.
Yeah.
We need to address the marijuana situation.
So somebody needs to go through the employee handbook, find out what all the changes are, run it by them before we, because you're gonna change the marijuana thing, you're gonna have to have a legal opinion. I mean, above public
Well,
sector HR may be able to give you that legal opinion, but you just can't do whatever you want.
no, I know, but
Yeah.
I need to know what we want to discuss changing with them.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you that. I don't have the employee handbook in front of me.
Well,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
No.
So,
I mean,
So
I
let's
have
deal
talked
with-
to Ronnie, and the two things that need to be addressed are the holidays
yeah,
and marijuana. I have talked to Ronnie about that.
okay, and there's nothing else.
She didn't mention anything else. Those were the two that she said we're behind on.
Okay. So I guess I don't know where we need to go here.
Meet with them to discuss what the change would be or something?
Or she puts a proposal together. As
Yeah.
far as the holidays go, whatever they're gonna be, they're gonna be. We're gonna talk about the holiday.
Okay.
And she can change that. That's like putting a couple words in there. The marijuana policy is a little bit more
Yeah.
intricate
Oh, I
of what has to be done. And she could just put together a thing and say, this is what you need to adopt at town board for your marijuana policy.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I mean, I was told to bring these two issues up tonight. So
Yeah.
that's all I'm doing.
Is the sexual harassment part in there, updated in there?
Yes, in 2018, they updated.
That's when they did that?
Yeah. So I guess somebody needs to, and you've been talking to her.
Mhm.
So what needs to happen before the February meeting is she could go through, find out what updates need to be made, give us copies of what the changes are gonna be, and then we can ratify those changes once we get them from her.
If we like.
Right, you know, or whatever,
We
so.
should decide what we-
Yeah,
where
but
the hell
we can't say to her, I mean, to make a
We're not
resolution
basing that.
so that we're gonna go, you can fix the policy, and then she's gonna fix it. We don't even know what that's gonna be.
I have no idea.
So we have to charge her, especially if we're paying her for it,
Mhm.
to do that and get it back to us, not necessarily by the February meeting, but soon, so that we can do that. Now, back to the deal about the holidays, which is, you know, I mean, I would pick, we know what we have, we know what the new ones, I don't know what we have and what the new ones are. Maybe we pick one or two more to add to it, but I don't think we should be adding everything. What's everybody else's opinion? I'm only one person.
I feel the same. I wouldn't want to do all at once. I'm not trying to shortchange anybody out of some, they think.
Yeah.
I just,
Should we poll the people working for us to see what they want out of those choices, or should we just decide?
I think that, I mean, you could do that if you'd like, but I think that in essence, to some people, it really doesn't matter because they have to use them
When they can.
when they can. They don't even use them on the holiday.
right.
So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 10 now?
8.
8. So, all right. So I don't know what they are. New Year's Day we have. Martin Luther we probably don't have. Presidents,
John,
Memorial, Independence, Labor Day. What's that?
We have.
They got Martin Luther.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
All right. So I got New Year's, Martin Luther, President.
Go ahead, President.
No President's Day.
That's the-
Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day. Columbus Day's probably a no. Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas.
We don't have Veterans Day, we have Thanksgiving the day after and Christmas.
Veterans Day.
We don't have Veterans Day off.
So I would suggest adding President's Day and Veterans Day. I don't know, what's everybody's thoughts?
What are the other two?
The ones missing?
No, yeah, what are the 4 we don't do?
Like,
We
probably,
don't do June.
Good Friday, Juneteenth, Christmas Eve.
don't tell me Groundhog Day's in there.
No, it's not, actually. First day of hunting season. So,
You do realize I'm asking and it I'm not fighting for it because it's for me. I could take whatever holiday I want off.
so my suggestion,
Add the 2 more with that.
add President's Day and Veterans Day. What's everybody else's thoughts?
That was spread out through the year, you know, or if they did take them when they chose.
Well, they're gonna go from 8 to 10.
Certainly should honor your veterans if you can. You know, there's no doubt they're why we're here.
I'm good with this.
And their President's Day, I don't know why that was skipped all these years, but I guess if you're throwing that as a bonus, I think
Yeah.
we're doing something.
It's funny how they didn't do President's Day, but they did Martin Luther. You know, because that was a newer holiday. President's Day's been around forever.
Didn't we used to have President's Day off and they switched it to Martin Luther for?
I don't know. I don't know why they would do that. They're both winter, so it doesn't really matter. So is that good? I need a motion to add 2 more holidays to the calendar.
I'll make the motion.
And they're gonna be President's Day and Veterans Day. Have a second?
I'll second it.
And Dan's gonna second it. All in favor? Aye. Carried. All right. So, like I said, that's, for her to change that is nothing.
No.
That's no big deal.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
so now let's
We're
go,
moving right along.
we're gonna do the procurement policy first.
Okay.
So we've read the procurement policy. I need a motion to adopt the.
One question.
Yes,
We got two different departments in another. Theirs is a $500 threshold.
yes.
Is that suffice? See, I think it's low. You couldn't even buy a set of tires without board approval. I'm not trying to give away the farm. It's just, those to me seem a little, if I don't need two like Sean, where he's running big, but
Move it up to 1,000?
I'm gonna ask a recommendation. I got two department heads here. I'm curious what.
Yeah, I think 750 to 1,000 would be better. Cause I have so many things that are like $550 or $599.
I agree. I audited that and thought I would bring it up.
You know, cost more now. So.
Yeah, so.
For sure.
You
It's been $500 since I've been on the board, I think.
Yeah.
We raised Sean last year, we were 1,000 for that.
No, I actually thought it was 2,500, but.
Oh.
I thought Sean's was two. When you read two for him, I thought that was.
I think it
Yeah,
keeps getting
well, it's
different.
funny because my note said 2,500, but the procurement policy was
I
still
don't think
showing
it ever
2,000.
changed.
Well, you're the one that changed it. So,
Well-
or didn't.
I didn't think $1,000 is out of line, you know,
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
John, you
All right,
probably
so
don't
let's
have a
change-
budget, but you need some flexibility.
Usual change.
So we should change him.
Well, if it's $2,000 or 2,500, I
Yeah.
can live with it. I mean, do you really need to go back to the board if you gotta buy tires?
Well,
Is
Sure.
there parts,
Sure.
you know?
I
Well,
agree. That's
there-
why I'm trying to make this,
In the
so they got some
exceptions,
flexibility. They know their budgets, they know what they have to do. So that's
In
why I
the-
brought it up.
in the exception lines, there's exceptions for emergencies, there's
Right.
exceptions for state bid, there's exceptions for all kinds of things.
I get that.
You're buying the tires on state bid, you don't need to get board approval. If you have bald tires, you need to buy tires, it's emergency expense. You're able to do that. This is the kind of thing, it's equipment. So, you know, when you're buying equipment, you should have time to come to the board and say, I need to buy this $10,000 piece of equipment, not just go out and buy it. That's the point of what this is.
Right.
But it's not necessarily all goods and services. You know what I'm saying? If, you know,
Yeah, but if I need to buy a lawnmower or a weed whacker now, they're $600.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, so,
That's where I'm at. Right.
so you wanna move it to 1,000?
I'm making a recommendation, move it to 1,000. You guys wanna run with it? I get it.
You
And what
good?
about highway? 2,500, make sure it stays there, it goes up there.
I'm gonna say, yeah, that's fair, but you know, if you wanna make,
I think it's been 2,500, but. it
I thought it was,
Yeah.
and I could
I
have
think
forgot
it's
it.
right.
I think we did that last year.
Yeah.
Never
It never gets changed on the next meeting.
Yeah. Well, and I'm also,
just
I actually
clarifies-
only pulled up 2019 and changed all the things based on notes. So maybe I missed that in the note.
You might have. All right, so with those two changes, now we're going to adopt the procurement policy. And Dan made a motion, I need a second. Second, John, all in favor? Aye, passed. All right. Hopefully the rest of them won't be this hard.
Organizational resolutions
So, yeah,
with changes.
so we're gonna do all the other ones. And
Yep.
we don't have, and wait, I should say first, does anybody have any changes or questions of any of those that she read? Okay, so we're gonna do them all in one fell swoop. So I need a motion to pass all the organizational meeting,
I'll make a motion.
okay? John, in a second,
I'll second it.
Dan will second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So it's passed.
Okay, next one is our code of ethics.
Code of ethics. All right, what, we don't need to review that. It's in the policy, the employee policy, and it hasn't changed. But we need a vote, a motion to pass the procurement policy,
Code of ethics.
or code of ethics,
It's
I'm sorry.
it's local law number 1 of 1970.
Yes.
It hasn't changed.
Tim, second.
I'll second it.
Dan, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we did the procurement policy, emergency management plan.
Emergency management plan. That thing is, what, does it have a date on that, when that was done?
You updated.
No, it
last
doesn't.
Well, I attempted to update it last year.
time. No, the last time we did.
Yeah, the last time we did it, I updated it. It's been a couple years, but it might need a couple changes, but for the most part, it's pretty well, nothing really changes except a couple names and phone numbers. So, all right, so we're gonna make a motion for that.
Take a motion.
John, second?
Second.
Dan, all in favor?
Aye.
2023 annual report from town clerk. I need a first and a second on
All
that.
right, yeah, well, we're gonna motion to pass her town clerk report, which we haven't really seen, but.
I'll move
Okay,
that.
all right, Dan? Second?
I'll second.
And John, all in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Employee handbook design any changes from, that's it.
Yeah.
Just, the only other thing we have to do, but we don't have to do that now, is
Start now, and well, by the 20th of January, we're supposed to audit the town books
Mhm.
and any of these things that come along. So, I don't know how that's headed, and, you know, when we're doing it. Excuse me. But that's when all that stuff comes together. So. We can pass that now if you want. You want to pass that now, or you want to wait?
you're the boss.
Okay, well, we also have the report from the judges. Everybody got a copy of, was sitting on your desk. You want to look that through real quick, and then I need a motion to accept the judges' report from 2023.
I'll make a motion.
John, second.
I'll second it.
Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried. All right, so we don't have to do that one later.
That's all I had. So you're on Ampion.
When we're on Ampion, I guess the signups are going well.
You can go, anytime, you can go to apn.net, have a copy of your bill, the electric bill, and you can sign up. Tomorrow, we have our meeting, the task force at 10 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, we will also be there to help people, get through the process if they want to come and bring their bill, and we can kind of go through it with them,
You doing that where?
right here.
Right here at 11 o'clock tomorrow? Is that guy gonna be here or no?
That-
That guy that you told me about? I don't remember
Oh,
his name.
Brian.
Brian?
No.
Okay, because I haven't called him yet. I gotta figure out that situation.
Okay.
Yeah, this would be for new signups, so basically, we're just gonna take that bill and help work through the technology.
Oh, and just put it in the computer.
If you're doing it
Oh.
on like your phone, like,
All right, well, it seems like a pretty good deal, so everybody should look into that.
Absolutely, and again, if we, all right, what is the threshold 10 for now, as the money has gone up?
to the order of $50,000. So NYSERDA just turned on the faucet pretty hard,
Mm-hmm.
so these things that we've been working on the last couple of years, they start to roll into one another. So now the impetus to sign up sort of becomes a little bit bigger, and to start engaging and maybe looking at other types of things on the list. If the town may decide that they want to go a little bit further into things like LED streetlights, or, finishing with benchmarking for buildings. There's a vehicle benchmarking. There's some processes that involve town employees and town board members, but the money is really ratchet.
Really, okay, all right, well, that's good. You don't know how many people have signed up so far, do you?
No, but I don't have the numbers, but they will pull it by zip code for anybody that signs up, so.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah, please do, so we can kind of move forward. Yeah, and I think, are you gonna be around tomorrow, Bonnie?
Mhm.
Yeah, because we were talking about, kind of connecting with you and Nancy Bernstein
Okay.
and Amy and all
Great.
that, so. Awesome.
Okay, all right. Communications update, John says the tower generator's done and being shipped to the highway for storage. So I guess that means, do you know anything about that or no?
I'm tracking it.
Okay.
Not moving very fast,
Okay, all right, you're tracking it, it's not moving.
but it is 6 or 8 months ahead of schedule, so
Oh, perfect.
very good news.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then at the last board meeting, we talked about this enclosure. We've been having a lot of trouble trying to find the enclosure to put all the equipment in. And they found one in Texas. And we're supposed to send an engineer out there. It's all in process still. To make sure it's a good piece of equipment, we get it for free, but we have to truck it here and then we have to make the updates. But it'll still save us a lot of money if this thing will work. Plus, it's really hard to find something else, so we're hoping this all comes together, but it's still in the process. Planning board is the comprehensive master plan, 5-year update they're working on. Want to make sure that all the department heads get their information back to them with whatever they need. Anybody got anything more on that? Okay. All right, assessors codes, parks, buildings, and information are all in your packet. I don't know if anybody's got anything to highlight. Do you have anything to highlight in your department?
Well, things are pretty much staying consistent at this point with the good weather.
Yeah, well, yeah,
I was like, Mike and Frank for giving us a little bit of use of their garage to keep our car inside for the winter.
nice. You got anything, Mike?
Waiting for snow, some colder weather, getting close to the rink, maybe Thursday night looks really cold, so I'm hoping to be there all night, throwing water on it and maybe get it open next week and hoping for some snow for the ski trails. We got, the old roller working, so we'll be able to get out sooner to pack trails down.
Mhm.
Waiting for a lot to be able to grow, so that should help out a ton. We got hit really hard with that rainstorm, a lot of washouts.
I'll bet.
Culverts overfilled, so we're gonna, springtime, summer, we're gonna need to do a lot of work to, trails, but for the winter, we'll be fine.
Perfect. Information, anything?
I had a couple of things she had highlighted. She talked about bringing back, do you guys remember that Councilman Corner there?
Yeah, I used to write a lot of those back.
Yeah.
She recommended maybe.
Get your pen out, because she's looking for a councilman to write articles, so.
So, again, that's probably one of the highlights. Couple of little things. Just a thought.
The lamplighter.
Lamplighter,
Yeah.
that was it. All right, parks, winter schedule. What's that mean?
Wait for winter to schedule.
Yeah, you're trying to schedule winter? Please schedule winter, we need it. Highway department, got a job opening?
Got a job opening.
Okay,
I have one phone call,
cool.
but haven't heard from that, so.
Oh, you didn't turn them off on the phone call, did you?
But saying you gotta be available 24 hours, 7 days a week in the wintertime, I don't know, maybe.
No, he still seemed interested,
Okay.
but he called me, yep,
Okay,
and I gave him an application.
awesome, very good. Okay, good, that's good.
Cool, that's exciting.
I haven't heard. We hauled garbage and recycling, plowed snow, sanded roads, parking lots and sidewalks when the snow was here. Cleared trees out of the roadways after the heavy snows and winds. Cleared culverts and ditches after the heavy rain. Fixed the washout on the Uncas Road that took the whole road out, and it washed out on Monday and we had to reopen by Wednesday. Like to thank Town of Long Lake guys for coming down and plugging into our truck, getting the hose off it so that the tech kind of had to idea what was going on to save some diagnosis time. And with the nice weather, we worked on the wing walls on the new culvert we put in on Parker's Road. Coming up, we're gonna haul garbage and recycling, plow snow, maybe. And, hopefully get our boiler at the shop working correctly. It hasn't been working right for some time. We have to keep resetting it. I haven't heard from that guy. No. I'll call him. So maybe if you, either that or I'll just have to grab the bull by the horns and set up the phone with Beesman and do that for now. And maybe if they can straighten it out, I don't know.
Just dump the wire, be fine.
If we only knew which one to jump, right, JT? We're gonna mount some new tires on the roll-off truck. And that's pretty much all I have for the highway department.
Okay, transfer?
The transfer station's open 4 days a week, closed on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Open from 8 AM to 11:45, and then from 1 PM to 6:45, and closed from 12 to 1 daily for lunch. The transfer station is neat and orderly. Sounds like last month, doesn't it? Just a fun little fact, in 2023, we brought in about $8,400 in scrap metal.
Okay,
That's all I have for transfer station.
perfect. Thank you. All right. Town clerk's report.
I don't really have anything more other than the annual report I gave you. I do have some concerns and I need some clarification because I really couldn't get even clarification from my minutes myself. The town hall usage,
Yeah,
kind of went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Can people use it on Tuesdays, just not the third Tuesday?
I think
I've had people, you know, were asking me and I'm like,
what is in your minutes, it says that after 4 o'clock on every Tuesday,
right.
that there won't be any scheduled events.
But when I rewatch the YouTube, it's not even, that's not real clear.
Yeah, and to me, I would believe, other than the third Tuesday, which is the night that they have DA night, that probably if you gave the court from 4 o'clock till 8, 7:30, I'd have to clarify with them, but I would say you gave them that much time, you could have an event after that time. Okay, so the time's gonna be 7:30 or 8 o'clock.
Okay. In talking to Georgia or
Okay.
Justice
Yes.
a little bit further, she didn't seem to have an issue with any other night except the DA night. And the calendar has to be, I mean, people can't just arbitrarily put themselves on the calendar, you know what I mean?
Right,
So-
but they do have court every week,
Right,
and they come in at what, 5 o'clock? 4:30?
yeah.
Something like that, and they're usually out of here by 6:30 or 7,
Yeah, some nights 5.
by 5, some nights 5. But you have to
Right,
account for the most, not the count for the
Right.
least.
right,
So if you're gonna count for the most, you're gonna have to at least say 7 or 7:30. Right?
You gotta remember, you got 5 agencies plus writing appearance tickets.
Yeah,
mhm,
The appearance tickets are that day
yeah,
mhm.
to come to appear.
Right,
I mean,
right.
You got, it could be state, could be DEC,
Right.
could be ranger, could be local zoning, I mean, just,
right,
No,
so, but in general, I
Right.
would say for the majority of the time, they're out of here by 7:30.
I think it's safe to say.
So,
Yeah, I
so
would say
that's why I
so.
picked that number.
Okay,
You know,
Okay.
so you can't
I
have
just wanted to-
somebody coming in and have a 6 o'clock meeting if they have a court at 5, even if they don't have court that night, because we won't know ahead of time whether or not they have court.
I
We
just
actually
wanted
went on
to
the
make sure.
sidewalk one time, remember, because there was a conflict, and we couldn't even get in ourselves.
There was,
We actually-
we had a, like I say, you gotta
Yeah.
plan for the worst, even
Yeah.
though most of the
The
time.
court,
then-
the court has to be here.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, I mean, you do still have the senior room. Is court still in here?
No,
Not where.
On the third Wednesday.
On the third
No,
one,
not on the, I'm not talking about the third Wednesday, because he has to be able to go in there, or
Right,
third Tuesday.
right.
Because the attorneys have to be going in there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, did we leave it that they can't use the senior room too? Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I thought that's what we said.
I thought it was for every Tuesday.
If I may, I'm
Yeah.
just a messenger here.
That's what I'm asking.
From the IABA meeting, and there were some conflict over that, because there are groups that do use that for a meeting, and, you know, Tuesday is like the IABA, and, if we have to do bag stuffing on June 4th and the first Tuesday of October, and there might be other groups. So does it have to be every Tuesday?
well, the problem comes when because the other half, why they're using that other room is because the defendants have to be able to talk to their attorney separate from the court. They can't have their little discussion here, so they have to have another room that they can have that discussion in. That's what that room's for.
They used to use the little office.
Yes, they
That's
used to
on the
use-
youth commission now, so they can't go in there.
Yeah,
So that's off limits.
so they can't do that. And
Right.
if you say, yeah, they're not even having court tonight, that's all good, but how do you know that ahead of time? You know what I mean? And,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah.
everything that's on
Yeah.
board, but, you know, the town board meetings are on Tuesday night.
yes,
So what happens if there's?
That's why we picked the 7:30 though.
Right.
right. If,
7:30 works
if,
for the
and
IABA.
it, like, just like Tim said, if they have a huge DA night, we may be in trouble with the board meeting. We're gonna have to scramble.
We'll just move somewhere else,
But-
but like outside, we had it on the sidewalk one
So
time.
you mean
Well,
on.
DA night
Second, third is DA. So, right. So the chances of us having a problem on the second Tuesday are not that great, which is why I don't want to change the board meeting night.
Connie, does the IABA usually meet before 7:30?
We did 6:30.
Oh, 6:30.
And if court starts at 4:35, and you come early for your meeting, it's too close. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and we generally
Yeah.
don't meet here, we meet in a variety of other
Mhm.
places.
Yeah.
As long as we have a place to go, and like tonight was at Screen
Yeah.
Table. But, you know, it was us talking about other things, and especially when we do have to do bag stuffing for these events. There's a lot of stuff that has to get moved over here, and then, you know, we have to do it in that room.
Right, but you understand what I'm saying about, we don't know ahead of time whether or not they're gonna need that room for conferencing. They're probably not going to, but how do I know that? And you don't wanna have everything in there and go, oh, sorry, you can't come in for 2 hours. Then that really screws you up.
Just passing the message on.
Yep. So does that make any more clarification?
Yeah,
By
I just-
7:30
Yeah, that's
for
great.
both rooms?
That's great. Okay,
Yeah.
I just need to be able to answer people when they were asking, you know, and because I watched the meeting and then I did my minute and I just
Yep.
couldn't really come to a good answer.
Yep.
So, okay, 7:30 PM.
And like I said, there may be times where they don't even have court. But you can't say, okay, all except for this one Tuesday in April. You know what I mean? You gotta kind of do an all or nothing thing.
Okay. I'm done.
You're done?
Yep.
Cool. All right, let's see. Highway and Trail Department equipment order transfer old excavator to trails. Story there? So you're
Yeah,
you're getting a new one. So we gotta decide what we're doing here.
Correct.
And then the other one's gonna go over to the Trails Department.
get the new one.
Yes, when you get the new one,
Get the new one,
okay?
Yeah.
Which would be
hopefully this spring.
hopefully this spring. So is there any discussion on, we have two proposals there of two different machines, which are on state bid or something, I'm imagining.
Contract, yeah,
Yeah, and so you don't need procurement,
correct.
right? So, but there was a question, we were gonna get the cheaper one, and horsepower was a question, different things, I don't know nothing, so. Someone else.
I brought it up, because I don't see us getting another one for a long time. I didn't want you to get it and then say, geez, I needed a size bigger, that's all.
It's a perfect opportunity to get a size bigger.
You ain't doing this again for a long time, in my opinion. I don't see us getting one every couple of years,
No.
I just don't.
Absolutely not.
So, to duplicate the one you got, seemed a little foolish to me. If you're doing highway work, I would assume you need a little more help
Yeah.
for what you're doing.
And we have the means. to
And for what I see, some of the town needs. No, I'm not saying I'm running it,
Isn't there an 18,000 GVW trailer?
10-ton trailer, 20,000 pounds.
20,000
And
pounds.
it weighs a couple.
Yes, you got a 2,000 pound cushion there,
Yep.
Right.
even with all the options typically, you know what I mean?
Right, plus your tongue weight, I guess it would work.
So,
It's tight, it's tight.
we talked about it, we audited, Sean and I did, you
Right.
know, I wouldn't want one any bigger for them, you know, if they've already bought a trailer net to move it, but
Have we bought that trailer?
It's waiting to be delivered, yes.
Oh, that's what we did. We've talked about it for so long.
Yeah, no, it's, yes, that's all set.
And so, and the difference in cost is roughly 30,000?
35.2 or 97.5. Well, almost
40,000.
40,000.
Yeah,
40,000.
and so I know that our financial wizard had a plan for the other one. Hopefully, we have a plan for the bigger one, because we talked about it last month.
Is Parks buying the old one from you?
I believe that's what John said, yeah,
Out of what budget line?
no?
What budget? though?
John may be,
Trails. I'm sorry, oh, this Trails Department are buying that.
That's the way I understood it, then.
They don't, do they have a budget line?
no,
They don't have a budget.
no.
Okay.
Well,
wouldn't it come out of snowmobile?
Yes.
It would show speed.
John is, let John explain this, because he's got a plan.
Bill Farrell's yellow legal pad for 3 years will come into play.
Contingency.
Actually, yeah, there's the equipment money line that we've got. It's kind of been dragged down a little bit, but I believe wasn't Mike giving us some money from Parks too? We were borrowing from every corner to make it happen.
Okay, so, but if we would have gotten the smaller machine, we had enough for highway to buy it themselves, correct?
And we've got enough for highway to buy the big one themselves too.
Oh, we do.
Highway is Bonnie hasn't spent all of highway's money yet.
Okay. So highway can get their machine.
You'd have spent it?
Get it ordered and get it.
Yeah.
For everything.
Oh,
Highway's got money to get the machine, and then we can work out the other machine later.
Right. The wizard will find a way. I like that new title, by the way.
So, all right, so what's everybody else's thought on the bigger machine?
I created the mess, but I'm just,
I think it's a better idea.
I don't know what your thoughts are, Sean. I brought it up to you.
Right on board with, because the work that we've done would prove, I mean, bigger machine would be a lot better.
I know my thoughts are for projects I'd like to see done, and
Yeah,
that's just me.
no, I'm with you.
If it meant going another year, whatever you gotta do to make this happen, but you're not gonna change it a year from now if you're buying those too small. That's all.
I don't have a problem with the bigger machine, it's having two of them, with only 200 hours a year on the one we have.
I agree with the hours. I see these things
4 hours
lasting
a week.
a long time. It's like the chippers, 20 years old, but when they need it, they pull it out,
Right.
put it back.
So I get the bigger machine, I just wonder about the value of keeping two of them.
Because then you're not trying to work against each other, not necessarily against each other, but needing the machine at the same time. We have one on board, and that machine, if that machine goes back in the woods, then all of a sudden we need the machine, let's say an emergency happens. Now you gotta walk that machine all the way out of the woods, and it's the delay in time getting to a potential emergency. I'll just use an emergency situation,
Right.
and then nobody's gonna wanna use an excavator unless it's raining and you're trying to save roads, on a rainy day.
Right.
Either one of you are gonna wanna use a machine on a rainy day, you're both gonna want it on a.
That's true, that's true.
Yeah, it does cut down the amount of days that it's usable,
Right.
when you take weather and.
We don't put a lot of time, I get that. It's basically the service to town.
So like, it keeps its value up, right?
It should last, I think, a long time.
What are your thoughts on it?
No, I thought the bigger one, yes. I don't see a downfall to having the two. Cause when you get the big one, then you need something back in the woods, so then you're dragging the one back in the woods, working a trail.
Right.
So, all right, so with all that said, I need a motion to purchase that bigger excavator.
I'll make that motion.
All right, Dan's gonna make it. I need a second.
I'll second it.
All right, John's gonna second it. Now we're gonna vote. All in favor?
You saw
Passed.
I did so.
He saw. It passed.
Well, thanks, Tim, because I know I know you had reservations. You're totally entitled to it. I get it. I have them myself, but I think it's.
Just keep building more and more.
Yeah.
Be nervous, they just have, we gave a lot of stuff.
Yep.
We do.
We need a lot.
All right, so we have, summer staffing needs. We need lifeguards. And we need training for lifeguards. So if anybody knows anybody, I think, and I don't know what the age was before for lifeguards, but the governor just passed a law to relax the ages so that they're younger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it brings it down, I don't know, 17 to be on the beach or whatever. I don't know what they were before, but you still have to have somebody in charge of that person. So if you're running a one-man beach, you can't have that young one there, you still gotta have the supervisor.
I thought it was 16 before anyway.
Well, I don't know. read the thing the other day and I said, well, this is nice, but what was it before? But she did that because it's so hard to find lifeguards. So maybe they just, oh, go ahead.
We're having problems at the state campgrounds trying to get anybody. They relaxed them at the state campgrounds to where a bigger beach than ours, they can only have one, they can have one lifeguard at 18 or 17 years old. That's how hard up they are getting lifeguards. So they had to do something for the rest of us, and lowering the age of applicants was a step in the right direction. Because quite frankly, if you can get somebody trained at 16, you know, and you've got supervision on them, you're good to go.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, and you know, I'm glad she did that, you know, so anyway, maybe that'll help us.
Sorry.
Okay, public comment. The second public comment. Anybody got anything to say? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up with the grant and kind of just, sort of lay out where we're at. So
Okay.
Mike and I got together and sort of met a bit to go over kind of what we have pricing for and sort of like things that we may be able to get together before the 31st to be in for this particular grant.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have the grant for the pickleball courts. It is a year old, but this is something that could potentially, there is a quote associated with it, and there's a location associated with it, and there's sort of a plan in place, if you will. So
Okay.
We do have the breakdown from the Blacklight Challenge Development Trail Plan. And as Mike and I kind of went over it, it's not up to date. There's been some changes on it. There's some stuff on here that is not going to be built, and there's some stuff on here that has already been built. So one of the challenges, if we decided that we wanted to move forward with mountain biking trails, is we don't have an updated sort of GIS site plan as to like, here's the most updated, you know, locations of particular mountain bike trails or trails. Here's how they'd be done, you know, would certain vendor do it on Dave Corsani's land versus town-owned land. You know, there's just not really like a breakdown of those particular things. So it's something that maybe you can dust off and try to get ready in time, but it's maybe a conversation for a bigger idea about a more comprehensive, you know, eagle eye view of Fern Park. Maybe, you know, going back at the Fern Park master plan might be an idea at some point down the line. I'm not saying for this particular grant round, because it's 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now.
Right, you don't have the time.
But, you know, it's just something to put a bug in the air to say that what's missing in going after grant funding for this particular project is it's not quite finished yet. You know, that Fern Park plan is 60%, 70% done. But, you know, I'm guessing COVID kind of like put the kibosh on that. So it may need to be dusted off. So, one, and then we also have the playground. We have the playground quotes. So there's about $40,000 that we've got that we still have to raise for that we could write the grant for on that. With the Fern Park master plan, there is also an addended idea, which is part of the grant can be to get monies towards site planning and writing up of master plans. So for instance, having a consulting firm come in, that is their job. They write up, you know, park plans for larger communities, and they ask for input, and they do GIS maps, and they plan it all out, make it look pretty, and then you use that to get money in the future. So there's an idea there potentially that you could say, oh, we want to go after grant money to put together something like that, to pay somebody to go out and do that. And the only other wrinkle was I know that we have a new position with Chip and the Trails Department, and kind of discussing if there was a notion of doing that, would that fall under Chip's purview, right? Is that sort of part of the position is to go out and develop new trails, you know, somebody that maps those out, cuts them, maintains them. So where that position may fall into something like this. So I'm presenting with you with my understanding of what the types of projects that might be for this particular grant round that exist, where the deficits are, and what we could actually go for. So tomorrow we decided we were going to do nothing. The only thing realistically is the playground. With a little bit more work would be the pickleball court, getting that updated from a year ago to see if that person still could do the work. then the next step would be the oversight, right, doing the Fern Park master plan. So I'm just putting this out to the board because time is coming closer to this particular grant round, and I wanted to discuss it with y'all.
We discussed earlier today that, the mapping of the trails is really behind.
Yeah.
Up there, and that's vital to what you're trying to do with the trails. But who did that last time? Who GPS the trails? I couldn't remember.
They hired,
You didn't do it in-house?
Patrick did my snowmobile trails for the state.
Okay,
He did
yeah, but
them.
maybe that's what I'm thinking. I know somebody did some.
Yeah,
GPS.
I think
Different
Dave can
things,
answer that.
Yeah.
I remember having a discussion with Dave Scranton about that.
We use Summit, something or other.
Yes, I can't remember the agency, but it's.
We didn't do it in-house. Nobody did it in-house.
Yeah, because we paid a portion of that, didn't we? Where
They might have
It was like 30
contributed
years
a little
ago.
bit. They don't-
Oh.
It was a while. I don't remember who did it.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
I mean, in-house, we can GPS, but we can't do what these companies can do with mapping.
Right, because they do a topo and they're doing
Right.
right.
And you got to avoid wetlands because you have to do a seeker for these types of
Sure.
grants, which is, it's another step. It's not, but
It's not 30 days, is it?
it's not, yeah,
Yeah.
that particular type of project.
Right. But we do almost have to do that to know where we're at for anything future, don't we? We need to bring that together and map that out,
Mhm.
have a direction. I mean, we've hit this wall before, I think. We're
Mhm.
not, we're not prepared.
And it might be a consideration, just again, throwing this out there, that with the unpredictability of the snowfall, if you start looking at what your tourism draws are for mud seasons, as your snowfall is more unpredictable, what are the types of things that you can control? I'm sure there are other sports out there, and there are other draws out there, but mountain biking is one of those things that doesn't require a ton of capital input to potentially bring people in that wouldn't otherwise come up to town.
It is family oriented as well, which I like about that. It is definitely family oriented.
Generally, people with deep pockets, it is not an inexpensive sport, so those are folks that would stay and eat. So, it may be something to consider, doing a full map of Fern and start thinking about this as part of the economics of the area.
What was the year they did the last map program at Vern?
The one I've got right here is from 2021, Mike.
Well, that's the one I just did. But like the original map, I think it's from the 90s.
Way back, because I know some of the trails are dormant, some have been isolated. I mean, there's been some changes.
Right, and I've taken that map and messed with it and put on the new trails and took some of the old trails off.
Yeah.
If we can use, temporarily to get us through, but, at some point, I think everything needs to be redone out there.
We can't submit that for a grant, right?
Oh, you said we couldn't.
That map?
You could submit to get money to have
Oh,
a
okay.
site
I
plan,
misunderstood.
site map
Because,
conducted.
because you can't use the map that he did for it. It's not advanced enough.
I mean, I'm guessing, Mike, you pulled this off of Google Maps, right, and just sort of did an overlay?
I just took our old map and did an overlay.
Our own town map, right?
Yeah, I just took a PDF and edited it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even have access to the old map. So,
So any trees, boulders, wetlands, those types of potential barriers, may be problematic.
So maybe we should try to get in on this grant to get that done, to get some help with it.
If we could get it done through putting in for a grant, that would be the best way to go,
Absolutely.
I mean, if it's something that's gotta be done eventually, we need to plan on how we're gonna fund it.
Right, well.
But if we
put
can
in
fund
for
it through a grant, then that
We
would be,
can.
that would be fine.
We can look for that funding. What we would need to find is a consultancy firm or GIS mapping firm, a trail building firm, somebody who does this type of work
Mhm.
to give us a quote for what that work would cost.
Right,
We still need quote.
sure, because you won't know what to ask for if you don't know what the quote is for the thing, so.
We can't go for a grant to develop the map without the projects in mind, right?
No, you need a person to give you a price,
Right.
so
I
that you
can
can,
ask, New York State Parks and Rec who they use for the snowmobile trails, and they use an outfit to
Sure.
outfit all, to update all that. They use GI, because we used to have to give them our coordinates and then a shape file to turn it into, you know what I mean, full 9 yards. But I don't do that part. Then they take it and they have a company that does with whatever I send up.
All right, so if you could figure out who that is, and
Yeah.
maybe get somebody to get a price on that. And then meanwhile, I mean, what about the other things you got there? The playground equipment, we're definitely putting in for, right?
So that's kind of where the choice lies.
Yeah.
Is it's up to $150,000, no match grant, but there may be some bridge funding required. So if we wanted to try to do multiple things, we could. I guess I'm sort of at your leisure, at your pleasure, you know, I can help walk, department head and the town clerk and, you know, the board member head of that particular department through the process, because, you know, it does require the town is registered through grants.gov, and then a lot of the paperwork, like the seeker, the contract, sort of requires review by the town supervisors. There's a lot of moving parts. So I guess part of it's just how, what do you want to accomplish, and who's motivated to get that done in a 3-week time frame.
Right.
Maybe pretty crunched.
I mean, if I had to pick, just because I know what we have,
Yep,
I'd say just do the playground. Something we know we need, we already have some funding towards it. We have,
The planning for it, everything,
yeah, I mean, how many quotes do we have?
We got 3.
3 quotes?
yeah, it's a put together project.
it'd be hard in 2-3 weeks to get quotes on.
Right.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Going by
we're not-
organization.
And as much as I wanna, you know, move forward and burn, there's still a lot of things that are gonna change over the next couple of years.
And you guys gotta think of that stuff,
Yeah.
you'll just back yourself in a corner.
Maybe we have to wait to do that GPSing until we know we kind of have a finished project
Mm-hmm.
Product. out there. I don't know. I don't wanna keep kicking it down the road, but.
So,
It's never gonna come together in long, it's just not gonna.
do the playground equipment?
I guess that's the
I
safest
think-
pick right now, as much as I'd love to get more, but if it just makes a disaster somewhere else, we really haven't gained, we're just wasting money.
Yeah,
I don't wanna do that.
yeah, I mean, even the pickleball court thing, I mean, you got stuff there that could be dusted off, but if you got plans for Fern Park and you put this thing in the wrong place,
You ain't moving.
you're right.
It's
You-
so
you
important to
wasted your
think
money,
this out
you know,
methodically.
so,
All right, so then I will begin writing the grant based on what we've got, and then I'll bring in Bonnie, I'll bring in Mike, and
Just pick a time, you know,
sounds
so I need a time.
okay.
We'll be. We'll be good to know what's coming.
Anybody else got anything?
And Dan, thank you.
Yes, thank you very
For
much.
keeping this going and being patient with us, because I hate
All right,
to down a bigger project, but
all right.
We're just gonna throw this out there. 30 years ago tonight, it's my first town board meeting.
Wow.
Wow.
What do you think of that,
how are you developed?
huh? So, all right, so let's,
Did you think you were gonna be zooming it back then?
I didn't think I'd be zooming it.
This question, huh?
Yeah, no, we weren't doing zooming back then. All right, so we need to pass these bills. Anybody got questions on any of the bills? We've kind of
We had some
rattled
questions,
through
rattled
this.
through some, so we're,
Yep, okay.
1952 and well, they were both 1952 Williamson law, why is there so much? Are we adding something?
No, it's just because now we also have the cloud. So it's our annual, I can show you the bill.
software updated.
It's our
One
annual
was like
software.
2,000, the other was 1,500.
Yeah, well, you got the accounting software and you got the payroll software.
Yeah,
So
1,900.
that doesn't even include the other stuff. Right, we have other
Jump with them.
department stuff, not through Williamson Law though.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
There was two more.
Park.
yeah, so
I mean, code.
code, so that's a different
Yeah,
item.
right. So our
This is our annual contribution.
accounting software, between our support contract and the cost of the cloud is 1987. And then
Seems high.
payroll is 1455. I actually think it's gone down I
Really?
can research it, but I think it's gone down because we're not getting the hours for support anymore.
Well, in the beginning, you were using more support. So
Right.
now that got things relatively
Mhm.
squared away,
Mhm.
is that a good statement?
Mhm.
Relatively squared away?
Yeah, I mean, I know,
Yeah.
I know the software inside it.
I'm talking about all of the past stuff.
Oh,
Had to be,
well, yeah.
that's caused all the issues with extra labor. And so now
Yeah.
that should come down, right? Plus you've been using the software for a couple of years, so
Right.
that's helped.
The software, there are no issues with the software.
Yeah.
The software is great.
Yeah,
The issues are with past years moving forward to new years, and there are still some issues.
so,
Okay,
okay.
so that's gonna be yearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's yearly.
Yeah, you can probably plan on that every year.
And then
Yeah.
1963, what is that? What is?
Oh, it's a bill? I'm sorry, I didn't know what you meant by.
Yeah, he's
Okay, you're giving me the number, okay.
He's giving you the number.
Why does it go out of order?
The very last one.
Very last one?
On the first
Oh,
page,
that's because that's what isn't covered, well, I don't wanna say isn't covered. It's basically what Lifetime would pay. So our Lifetime card, so instead of it being pulled from the card, we're funding it that way.
Cause it's gonna be on the limit?
No, because it's something that can't be put on a credit card.
Okay,
It
So,
can't-
Lifetime
it's
is a-
deductible with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
What's
What?
that?
he said something about Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Yeah, I can't hear him.
I can't hear.
Go for it again.
You can't take it out of your deductible for Blue Cross Blue Shield, so it's an expense that I have to wait till the end of the year to submit.
Okay, I
Right.
just wondered what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine, that's
Yep,
fine.
so, and it's because you can't use Lifetime as like a credit card type thing.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I just wondered, I saw it there.
Yep.
Wondered.
yep, that's that one.
Okay, Any more?
I do have a bill, if you want to see bills.
any more questions? All right, so I need a motion to pass highway. All right, John,
I'll second it.
second, Dan, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And, general and sewer,
Oh,
Tim? Second,
I'll second.
John, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the next regular meeting is February 13th, 7:15 for bills and updates, 7:30 for the meeting. Motion to adjourn.
I'll move that.
Dan? Second? John? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.